Hey, welcome back to my channel. So today is the first in the series where I choose and experiment with the patterns from this vintage pattern book. From my research, it seems like these were kind of like a weekly subscription or something you'd buy at the newsagents, and you collected the magazines. They came with paper patterns and technique cards for sewing as well, and it was kind of like a mix and match capsule wardrobe pattern book. And I think these are from the 80s. I'm pretty sure they're 80s style as well, which is one of my favorite eras. So there are so many patterns in this book that I'm excited to try, but I've decided to start off with this jumpsuit pattern, and I think I'm going to do the dress variation. In the book they call it the pinny variation. There are some parts of this dress pattern that I will leave off, and the reason why I would have preferred to do the jumpsuit, but I actually have a specific fabric that I want to use and I didn't quite have enough to make the long pants version. So this is a really cool fabric. I think it's called Lifesavers by the Australian designer Cherie from Whimsy Kaleidoscope, and this is what I wanted to use. I wanted to make a dress out of that, so that's what I'm doing. Alright, so to start off with, obviously I've got to cut out all the pattern pieces. The only thing is, I'm pretty sure I decided, because I despise armhole facing with a passion, it just bugs me when I'm wearing a dress or shirt or whatever, I decided not to cut that out. And I also left off the patch pockets in the design, and there was like a back tab that I left off. Rightio, let's do this. So step 1 says, stitch front and back shoulder seams together, stitch front facings to back neck facing, and then neaten the outer edge. So if you're seeing the little instruction pictures back there, it looks like they're using pinking shears to neaten their seams, but obviously as I've got an overlocker, I'm going to be overlocking all my seams. So step 2 is with right sides together, pin and sew facing to the bodice, then clip curves and corners. Step 3, turn facing to the inside of the bodice, roll seam slightly and press with your iron. Step 4, pin facing flat against the bodice. And then it says to tack it down here, but I didn't do that step. And then top stitch down about 4 centimeters away from the edge. And this will make the button placket. This is also the part where I realized I'd done something wrong, and well, not necessarily wrong, but I'd forgotten a step, and that's because the instructions were on a different page. But I had wanted to add the ruffle from the original jumpsuit to the dress, but I had gotten way too far past that point, and there was no way in hell I was going to unpick the already pretty much finished bodice, so skipped that, which sucks, but I was in the zone, it happens. Step 5 is stitch the bodice side seams together, and here is where you'd also begin working on the sleeve facings if that's what you had chosen to do. Step 6 involves continuing to work on the sleeve facings, but instead I chose to use a black bias binding tape to finish the edges for my sleeves, or armholes, I suppose you call them. There's no sleeves. Step 7 is also about the sleeve and armhole facings. Because I skipped that step, I didn't really need to worry about that, but it's about tacking them down and sewing another top stitching them down. So now I'm up to step 8, which is doing the buttonholes. And I have picked these really nice lilac, chunky lilac buttons. They're just from Spotlight, and I'm just marking them out where I wanted them to go, and I'm about to sew the buttonholes. Alright, so now I'm jumping over to the other instructions for the variation, the dress variation, which is that one, the pink one. And so I've kind of just, instead of doing the patch pockets, I'm doing side seam pockets, and I just sewed them on like I normally would any skirt or dress that I've made, and the instructions were essentially the same. The instructions then say to join the side seams, gather the skirt, and stitch the skirt to the bodice. So I did that. Then the final step is to overlock the bottom of the skirt, fold it over, turn it up and hem it. Actually, I lied, that's not the last step. There's one more step, and that is hand sewing your buttons on. And now we're done. Are you ready for the reveal? Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you enjoy this kind of content. I'll have more coming soon. Thanks, bye!